this weekend's ANC's NEC meeting is nothing short of drama. The suspended Secretary-General Ace Magashule was kicked out of the party's meeting yesterday. There's already been leaks of what appears to be voice recordings from the meeting. The meeting comes as divisions over the step-aside resolution play out in the open. Magashule insists he's still General Secretary as he's appealing the decision to suspend him. Our senior reporter Aviwe Mtila is following developments for us, and he's outside Luthuli House. Aviwe, you are outside the main house of the ANC. What do you understand is happening inside?
Nothing inside Luthuli House, as you'd understand, Maseko. This is a virtual meeting. Now, of course, given the nature of the meeting and that, in fact, there are technological advancements, you'd expect that there would be leaks. And, in fact, those leaks are coming in thick and fast. They talk to the state of the party. I just want to quote two of the statements that we heard in those leaks. One asking a question, in fact, whether do we still have an organization called the African National Congress? That question, we understand, came from the Limpopo ANC chairperson and premier, Stan Mathabata, talking of the factions that are right within the African National Congress, asking, in fact, whether is the party still united, or are there two or three factions pulling in different directions in the name of the African National Congress. The second, we understand, came from the ANC Women League president, Bathabile Dlamini, who was basically making a statement saying that the movement is about to collapse. That would talk to the situation and the state of the African National Congress. You'd understand ANC SG is one of those that have been implicated by the step-aside resolution, and in fact was booted out of the meeting yesterday at about 11:30, just after an hour after that meeting has started. Also, Bongani Bongo is one of those members that have been also booted out of that virtual meeting. One of the stalwarts that stepped in and, in fact, asked the national chairperson to take a look at those statements and, in fact, inquire about the unity was former President Thabo Mbeki. Let's just listen in on what he had to say.
Really serious remarks about the state of organization. The comrade Chupo, I think that's how you pronounce the name, much earlier had called for a retreat. And he said that retreat must discuss this question. Do we still have any organization called the ANC? That's a very, very serious challenge, comrades, that a comrade says we need to meet, he said 2 or 3 day retreat, seriously to look at this matter. Is followed by Comrade Bathabile, and Comrade Moho spoke in support of Bathabile. Both of them representing the Women's League. And the central point that Comrade Bathabile made is this, that the movement is about to collapse. I'm saying, Comrade Chair, you have this question. Do we still have any organization called the ANC? Second comrade says, on behalf of the Women's League, the movement is about to collapse.
Aviwe, we already know that the ANC's Secretary-General is not the only person who's facing that step-aside resolution because of the allegations of corruption against them. Talk to us about this resolution that was basically taken at NASREC in 2017, and we're only seeing action being taken now.
Yes, it is a contentious resolution, and as you put it, it was taken by the branches in that 2017 NASREC conference that elected the current leadership of the party and the top 86, which is currently in that virtual meeting. I want to take you back just earlier this week, Maseko, when we heard of the news of the suspension of Ace Magashule. I was in the northwest then with ANC members who were claiming to be part of the Mahikeng sub-region. In fact, they were delving into a meeting that was called in to support suspended Supremo Homopilo, who was the former Northwest Premier. Now, as that news broke, I spoke to the members on the ground, and they said that this step-aside resolution must be taken in its original form. You'd understand, currently, step-aside talks to members of the ANC that have been criminally charged, but in its original inception, it spoke of a broader narrative that spoke to anyone who has even been accused of corruption should step aside. So that's the bone of contention at the moment. government, Maseko. And in fact, a number of ANC members, senior members, have been implicated by the resolution. Oli Mlameli from the Free State, Cindy Swakomba in the Eastern Cape, KZN, Zandile Gumede, ANC SG, also Bongani Bongo, or some of those that have been implicated by the step-aside resolution in its current form. But there are plenty more calling for it to be adopted in its original inception and how it was originally formatted in the NASREC resolution. In fact, one of the people that spoke vocally about the corruption, we understand, in the virtual meeting yesterday was Dakota Lekgote, who said that there are plenty more with far worse crimes and accusations of corruption than ANC SG Ace Magashule. Let's just listen on that, one of those leaks from Dakota Lekgote.
This NEC, if it was to have integrity, reputation in dealing with corruption, I think those ones must also be included, because there are many of us in this meeting who are facing serious allegations of corruption. And I think for as long as we preside and become judges on our own cases, it's not going to help this movement in dealing with corruption, because we might single out the SG, but there are many of us here who are even worse than him in terms of corruption. And until we are also unmasked, the ANC would not deal effectively enough against corruption. I don't want to defend the SG, I'm not his lawyer or representative, but I think it will only be fair that all corrupt elements in our movement, we must deal with them without any prejudice, favor, or any reservation. And I think the sooner we get to that point, the better, the good for us as the ANC, because I don't think we are dealing with issues seriously.
Of course, Aviwe, we're expecting the meeting to conclude tomorrow. What can we expect today?
Well, you can expect a continuation of the pulling apart and the factional lines continuing. You ask yourself about the timing of all that is happening currently, Maseko. We're seeing a party that's clearly divided, pulling apart in different directions, a split party, in fact, ahead of the local government elections, while other parties are gearing up for that. It seems like the ANC is literally tearing apart with those questions asked about their movement and, in fact, it collapsing. You'd remember what happened in 2016 where they lost those key metros, Maseko. You'd remember what's been happening, in fact, as the electoral vote keeps on dwindling for the government party from 2009, in fact. So it'd be questionable at these divisions and how they will go for the governing African National Congress going into those local government elections later on in the year.